and welcome back to the Review of Death, a Doctor Who podcast and your fortnightly home for Doctor Who news and reviews. I'm Matthew Toffolo. I'm joined live with Billy Garratt-John down in New Zealand. How are you, mate?
Kia ora. I'm good, thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'm doing very well. I got buzz this morning. Trailers come in. Everybody getting very excited.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to be talking about Kinder today, but rightly, Matt said, let's strike while the iron's hot. Let's put all of those other Doctor Who YouTubers in their place with some proper speculation and rumor and innuendo.
Well,
and,
I mean, it was Annie, really. Annie was the one who was like, "What do you do? You should be doing a live stream about this." And I was like, "Oh yeah. That's good." Seeing as we were all geared up to talk about Kinder, I've got my season 19 TARDIS on the table behind me, all ready to talk about the Mara. But instead of giant snakes, it looks like we might be talking about giant spiders.
Oh, don't get me started. Yeah, that put the shits up me. But yes, we are going to be talking about the new trailer that just dropped across all social medias and whatnot, including a version on the Doctor Who, was it Doctor Who or the BBC YouTube channel that had a little intro from Ncuti and Barada Sethu in front of a photographic blow-up of the TARDIS set, presumably because it has already been scrapped in favor for a new TV show to take its place. Straight away, Maximan999, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Unrelated question to anything going on, but is there any chance Matt could re-upload Plastic Treachery as a whole package? New SFX perhaps? Are we going to get an updated FX version of Plastic Treachery?
Maybe, I don't know. That's it. Could do a remastered version.
If you join the Patreon, you can see us, you can see me loving it and laughing at it and giggling and having a good time, and Matt cringing himself inside out.
But I'll be honest, at the end, I'm like, fuck me, I'm pretty proud of that, considering, you
should be
18 years old. I'm happy with that. I've
honestly, it's a seismic moment for most people watching Doctor Who YouTube, is remembering when Plastic Treachery came out. So
yeah. There you go.
It's a shame we've got to talk about proper Doctor Who now, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Base MacGuffin with a £5. Thank you very much. Season 2 trailer is great. Amazing to see the actual Beatles, and they got the budget for a realistic Hartnell. New companion Vicky looks great too.
Nice.
Isn't that just fantastic? Very well done.
Very good. I've thought for a moment, I was like, what? The Beatles? I was like, who in this trailer looked like the Beatles? And then when he said Hartnell, I was like, of course. Of course.
Call an ambulance for Space MacGuffin until we got the joke there.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yes, so let's dive into it, because it was rumoured, I think, in the days leading up to it that the trailer was going to drop.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it did, and here we are.
Yeah.
It's been interesting seeing some of the reaction in the sort of whatever half an hour that it's been out, because people have been saying that it looks good, which is a refreshing thing to hear Doctor Who fans say, and especially us.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is it. Like, Annie and I, we just finished jabbing the dog. We just gave him his insulin because he's diabetic now, our poor little doggy. So we just gone through that ordeal, and we were like, right, we've done that. Shall we watch this trailer then? So we sat down kind of, in that sort of like, okay, here we go. What's this going to... Yeah, a bit like that. And we watched it, and there were lots of oohs and and that looks scary. And then afterwards, we both sort of turned to each other and went, that looked really good.
Yeah.
Like, I thought definitely... I mean, I liked the trailer for Series 1, which had a very different vibe. That was very much like, hey, this is Doctor Who. We're going on an adventure. Come along, it's fun, weird stuff happens, enjoy. This had very much more of a sort of a darker hint to it, didn't it? It felt like there was a bit more of the spookums about this trailer, which is the thing that we've been saying since the last series came out, is that Doctor Who needs to be scary, and it looks like there might be at least a couple of spooky moments in this series.
Yes, it looks like it, and the tone of having an unwilling companion as well, I think, is lending to that sort of unease that obviously comes along with the old spookies as well. And interesting, obviously, having planned to do Kinder today and watching that story where that whole TARDIS team is either reluctant or contractually obligated to not turn up.
Yes.
So it's interesting that we are, for the first time, really going back to that, because Donna obviously had a reluctance to her character to begin with, but
Yeah.
then when we meet her again, she's searching for the Doctor.
Yeah. She's got her
We
bags packed and
haven't
everything.
exactly. We haven't really had anybody have that kind of get me home, I don't want to be here thing in the new
No,
series.
like not even I was just sort of thinking, even with Graham, Ryan, and Yaz, you know,
Yeah.
they're sort of snatched off, aren't they? And then taken off to the Ghost Monument planet. What's that called? Can you remember?
Oh, it's got probably a very, let's call it Tarrant. Just that's that placeholder name for anything we can't remember in Doctor Who.
Yeah, they went to the planet of Terry Nation, and
Yeah.
even then, they're not really like, "Oh my god, you mad woman, get us home." It feels pretty much like, "Well, all right, we're here," you know?
Yeah, it does. It does. And even with like the only person that expresses like a wish to be there, other than the fact that they're a victim of sort of circumstance,
Yeah.
is Graham, because obviously he does his whole you know, I'm ill, doc. I don't fucking care.
I was gonna say, I've got chemotherapy in a couple of weeks. This ain't good for me.
No, my colon's aching. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that we haven't seen, because I think that showrunners have wanted to give that whole sense of it's an adventure and they're so lucky to be there and they love traveling with the Doctor and blah blah blah. And as an extension of the audience, I guess you should be pleased to be there if you were in their position.
Yeah.
But it's a delicate balance, I think, doing that, and I hope that they get it right here, because as I was saying before, with like the Davison era, they don't want to be there even when they're not reluctant travelers. You know, like Tegan wants to get back to Heathrow, and that's sort of her arc.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to be enjoying themselves there, even if they are willing travelers.
Yeah.
And I hope that Varada Sethu's character sort of gets caught up in the moment and just ends up, you know, embracing it, rather than it being a constant like tug of war between adventuring and going home, and her, you know, sort of what's the right word? What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, just not enjoying it.
Yeah.
We've got a little another super chat from Space MacGuffin. Great, sorry, fancy visuals, great, but will there be meat on the bones this time?
Wow.
Well, should we find out? Should we go through?
Let's go through it. Let's go through it.
How do you want to do it, Matt?
I mean, I've got it paused. I've got it muted. I'm just going to play through it and pause it on an occasion.
Okay.
So we start off in Belinda, isn't it? That's the name of the character.
Belinda Chandra.
Belinda Chandra in her bedroom. She's looking out the window. What's in the sky? Who knows? Alien spaceship? Probably. This is Doctor Who. Yeah, it's shaking the room. Oh, something's up there. Oh, what's that? Oh, look at the blinds. Oh, and then we've got a POV shot, I guess, from a spaceship.
It looks like from just looking at it here, it kind of looks like a 50s rocket, doesn't it? Like a cartoon rocket with the spokes, the landing spokes.
Yeah, I've just paused it on that. I've just paused it on that like frame of them, all the people lined up with the robots.
Yeah. Do we think maybe that ties in with there was a shot of a city that people thought looked like Starro?
Yeah.
That had a bit of a Jetsons vibe to it.
Yeah.
So do we think it's going to be a sort of retro futuristic American aspiration cosmonaut era thing?
I think so. It's giving sort of like Return to the Forbidden Planet, sort of Lost in Space vibes, which is cool. I like it. I think that's an interesting way to go. Then we obviously have like.
Also, can I ask? Sorry, just that shot of everybody lined up.
Yeah.
Is that the unit set redressed by any chance?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
looks like the same sort of depth and resizing of the whole thing, because they do like to reuse a set on Doctor Who, don't they?
Could be. I love these TVs. The TVs that are like, they're almost like 50s TVs, but they're not. It's great.
With the slight bulge in the middle, slightly,
and it's all curved,
convex thing.
Yeah, it's great. Love it. So this is quite nice that you have like, here's sci-fi of the 50s, And then we cut straight to here's sci-fi of the 2000s where things are a bit grimier.
The J.J. Abrams lens flare sci-fi.
So everyone's dressed up in some sort of spacesuits. They're putting them on, oxygen masks. Oh, now we cut to something completely different, which I obviously... Now, like we said, I've only seen this once. You've only seen this once, haven't you?
Yes.
This trailer. So later on, we see a big spider creature, which has almost like an African sort of face mask type thing.
Yes.
And I think this is the back of the spider here, because there's like all these big legs, there's all these cobwebs, there's all these beads and colours and stuff on the legs. Oh yeah, it's walking around. Cool. Is that your nightmare come to life?
100%.
Big spider. Right, there we go. So could this be Unit? Because we've got, what's her chops? What's her name? Gemma Redgrave?
Kate Stewart.
Oh,
that's terrible. She gets some awful shit from us, doesn't she?
She does.
And then what looks like behind that window slamming itself against the glass, it looks like the 456 to me, but it's not going to be the 456.
No. I wonder what that is. Is it a sea devil? Is it going to be sexy sea devils?
I'm looking at it. I'm wondering just from this...
It's damp.
So I can see...
Yeah.
If I go through frame by frame, I can see a big gaping maw. I can see some teeth.
Gaping what?
I can see, in fact, shut up. I can see perhaps... No, maybe I'm talking absolute nonsense, but I thought I saw something that looked a bit webbed. But it looks like it could be those monsters that we see later in the trailer emerging from behind that fallen tree.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like it could be the same sort of monster. Oh, quick super chat from Jake.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the £5, Jake. What do you think of the no old monsters and villains so far? I think it's brilliant. Nice to have new stuff. 2 videos in 1 week. What a treat. Tell me about it.
I know.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jake. I know. What a surprise. I'm very pleased with it. And, we said at the start, it's nice to have some monsters and some aliens and some proper scares by the looks of things back in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Having said that, obviously it's a big spider, Matt. Do we think it could be a return to the big spider boys that off John Pertwee?
Nah. Not at all. Not having it. So then we got Shooty in his bowler hat, looking very smart. I think this is from the finale, isn't it? Isn't this from the finale, potentially?
This is the finale that people took some photos on location, and it was sort of... it was the sort of I want you old-fashioned sort of posters, but it was about like forgetting or like, it was like a mind control Big Brother type thing.
Yeah.
And this looks like maybe the exhibits, when I first saw it, the exhibits from the Natural History Museum have come to life and started wandering around. So however that sort of tied in
it's
to what's going on there.
So you've got one big dino creature thing, because that's not a dinosaur of Earth.
Right. I don't know these things.
Not with these great big legs. Annie, she's the paleontologist in the house, so she can tell us. But over here on the left, there's another great big skeletal structure.
Yes.
So yeah, what's going on there? Big skelly boys. Oh, I've just cocked up my screen. Right, so
2 super chats real quick before we move on. Maybe killing the mood, but worried we're getting distracted by cool effects. Don't love big companion mysteries. Will Shooty regen before meeting a Dalek? Interesting point. Oliver. I don't know. It's a possibility, I suppose, now, unless they've planned a Dalek story for this season and we just don't know it yet.
Is he going to be potentially the first Doctor other than Paul McGann to not meet the Daleks on screen? That's right, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, quite possibly. If we don't look at it in like a Dalek perspective, because of course it's one of those classic lines. It's almost like there's a handbook of like new actors joining the show. Here are the things to say on Graham Norton. I can't wait to have a Dalek story. That's just something that everybody always says. But John didn't have a Cyberman story, so it's not out of the realms of possibility that we don't get and also it keeps the Daleks fresh for the next Doctor to come along. Like if there's an even bigger gap, then absence makes the heart grow fonder and all that. If we finally get the Daleks back in that context, that'd be very exciting. And Tomb of the Telos. Hey, I'm the guy that does the Rod animated Twitter. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Very, very good work, sir. Trailer had darker forces, and this fear of uncertainty feels a lot like the show Beyond Series 2. Yeah, I mean, it's a good looking trailer, and it's certainly edging towards that slightly more darker tone. And another one from Space MacGuffin: no Daleks, no Cybermen, no Master, no Angels, but plenty of Rani. I don't know. God knows, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Let's keep edging on, shall we?
Yeah, let's keep edging. Pardon. So here we have. This was a shot from the previous trailer, wasn't it? The Doctor in the TARDIS, and things are going squiffy. Now this is interesting. So we've got Bonnie Langford, Return of Mel, and again, could this be from the finale? Because we've got Mel in it, but all these houses, all these terraced houses, are like not even disintegrating. They're like falling away like tiles, and there's like weird vortexy purpley stuff behind. Is this a dream, or is some sort of powerful being? Obviously, we've got to remember this is all to do with like the Pantheon and all that stuff is obviously still going to play a big part in this series. So some big cosmic entity is playing with Melanie Bush. I was very controlled there.
Well done.
Yeah, so who knows? Who knows what's going on there? Or is it just... I was going to make a joke about for Flux and Dan losing his house, but I couldn't actually remember what the context of that was to make a proper joke about it. Sorry.
Me neither. Yeah, I when I saw this, I thought toy maker, Pantheon stuff. And I imagine that's also what's messing with the Doctor and everything. Time going squiffy and wibbly and wobbly and stuff.
It's a new member of the Pantheon called the Estate Agent who is taking houses off the market.
Your mortal enemy at the moment.
My mortal enemy at the moment, indeed. Yeah, bastard. Right. So there's Mel, and then we have sort of really our first introduction to Belinda's character, where she says to the Doctor about, "Oh, you're the Doctor. Well, I must be the nurse." So I guess this must be from episode 1.
Yes.
The Doctor is sporting a whole new look. He's got a new haircut, a new wardrobe, and is he kind of wearing the same sort of overall outfits that we saw those people wearing at the start of the trailer? I think it is, isn't it? It's very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar.
So what's that all about?
Who knows?
I mean... Yeah, it's got that kind of 50s retro futuristic thing with is it a Nehru suit as well?
It looks like a Nehru suit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But again,
that kind of more afro hair is definitely of the time. It's more of the time, isn't it? That sort of style.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
I guess we are having some kind of a 50s throwback. Atomic age retro-futuristic thing going on.
That's cool.
But of course, the big part of this segment in particular is that we get a confirmation that we are going to call back to Varada Sethu's first role in the show, which is a interesting one.
Yeah.
Sort of disappointing, I think, because
I agree.
When has a returning character ever had to have in the past their moment of, oh, it's you? I mean, didn't happen with Freema Agyeman.
No.
Certainly didn't happen with Colin Baker going, I look like that fellow with the funny hat on from a couple of weeks ago who shot me. We didn't get any of that.
No.
It does feel like, well, there obviously has to be a mystery box thing through the season. And given that last season was Who Is That Old Woman? And this season, if it was just Mrs. Flood being the mystery box, it would be exactly the same Who Is This Old Woman thread. We have to have something in there about the companion being the most important thing in the universe because it's modern Who. But doesn't really interest me at the moment.
No, me neither. I saw it and I kind of thought like, oh, we're doing this, are we? I was sort of hoping that they would just ignore the fact that it's the same actress. Yeah, I guess we'll see how this all plays out. But yeah, I'm not necessarily feeling it because it feels like it's just been done before. You know, we had it with Clara. It just feels like we're retreading old ground. And like you said, after last year's, big reveal was, I'm named after a road. My mum was pointing at a street sign or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, it does feel
Every
a bit like...
Doctor Who companion since Mandip was on the program you've given that voice to. I mean, it's your Jodie impression. If he was doing action figure adventures still to this day, that is what you'd expect to get on the other end of the mic. Dalek Seth, thank you for the £5. Hello guys, good looking trailer. So great to have Alan Cummings return. Yes, we will come to him shortly.
Yeah, let's carry on. Let's see what's going on. So another spaceship shot, nice TARDIS shot flying after it. So looks good. Back to, I guess, episode 1. We've got the Neru suit people. We've got the big robots. Again, more episode 1 stuff. One would imagine. So that's a lot of that stuff in the TARDIS we saw in the previous trailer this spring. Yeah. Right, so we've got the Doctor in his tartan coat that we'd seen. It was used in a magazine, wasn't it, last year? Wasn't there some American magazine that they did a photo shoot with Shooty?
Yeah,
and he had that on, and he had like the big blue kilty thing on.
Yeah.
So one of his more outlandish outfits. This is a great line from the episode set in the 30s.
Yeah.
About Scooby-Doo. Honey, I'm Velma. That's great. I like that. And then again, pure Jetsons. Here we are.
Yeah.
Here is the planet of the Jetsons. Yeah. This comp shot looks a bit weird.
Yeah, a bit ropey.
Yeah. We're terrible, aren't we? So then we're into another episode, do we think? This is a different one? Yeah, different outfit. Different hair, again, by the looks of it. His hair looks almost, is it sort of braided at the top there?
Has he got cornrows in?
Cornrows, that's it, yeah. So he's going through there, a bit more from the, 30s episode. Here they are dressed, they're almost like Mandalorian armor, these guys.
Yeah, it is funny, yes. It looks just like that.
Star Wars budget for you.
So they start doing this sort of like this dive.
Yeah.
Is that underwater for this other shot here?
Don't think so. I think they're just on a planet's surface.
Okay.
End of the Sanctuary Base orange spacesuit. R.I.P.
It's gone for good.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
When was the last time we saw that? Jodie wore it, didn't she?
Jodie wore it. Didn't she wear it in her
Power of the Doctor?
Power of the Doctor in the opening scene.
Yeah. Wow. There we are.
Well, they've sold it in the bloody
I was gonna say,
auction, haven't they?
Can you imagine?
Somebody's got it.
Nice shot of space. Ah, right. Okay. Rylan at the Eurovision Song Contest, or the whatever interplanetary equivalent is, in what is apparently the most expensive episode of Doctor Who ever made.
I can imagine that's for the staging of a Eurovision Song Contest, and I know obviously if we spool to the shot of the audience, obviously that's all comped and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but
I mean, that looks.
I would imagine
insane.
Getting all of those extras in on the floor space would have been pricey. I mean, Rylan alone may have commanded a decent whack of money. And if you're going to commission original music that isn't just incidental music that Murray Gold's going to have to write lyrics to, and then they're going to have to record all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's a decent chunk of money straight away.
I mean, if it's anything like there's always a twist at the end, we're not winning the fucking interplanetary song contest.
That would be great. That actually, do you know what? If there is a cameo from the Beatles during this story that they are the Earth entry, and the Doctor's brought them up to do I Have a Dog, that whole episode is forgiven, because that would be fucking great. Futuristic pop world with Ryland, says SJFS. I really am looking forward to this one, because
you love Eurovision, don't you?
I love Eurovision, and I love Rylan. I think he's great value for money, and I think he'll understand the assignment completely. Yeah, and
he's a big Doctor Who fan as well, isn't he?
Big Doctor Who fan. anyone who's guested on the show, like when we had Davina, have kind of got it, and they've, you know, Doctor Who at its best and sometimes at its worst is camp. And so when you acknowledge it and when you're like, let's go full camp, and you do Eurovision Song Contest in space, I'm all for it. I also think that given the disappointment or relative disappointment of The Devil's Chord, and the fact that it was Doctor Who's first quote unquote musical story, and the context in which the music was used, I am confident that this is going to be a better application of it.
I hope so.
I can't imagine that with a setup like this and a tone that it's likely to go for, that it's going to be anything other than exactly what the Doctor ordered. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do. I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So they both are in agreement. Let's stay here. Oh, Mrs. Flood is in the audience. So I believe this is, I mean, not in this trailer, but it's the second appearance of Mrs. Flood, because I believe she's also in the episode with the cartoon man, which we'll get to.
Oh, yes.
In a minute.
She's in the theatre watching that.
That's right.
Again,
maybe Mrs. Flood just likes shows.
Maybe she just likes taking herself out to a show. Maybe she does. Again, though,
she thought she was going to see her husband.
Yes.
Where's Brian?
I brought his guitar with him and everything.
I'm getting a little bit edgy here about I'm feeling a little bit on edge about, we've got another mystery box old woman.
Yeah.
And she's going to pop up intermittently and, you know, away maybe from the Doctor and Belinda's eyes. And it's just like two years in a row, two different old biddies being menacing for some reson, you know, like, unless
too many old women in Doctor Who, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. I'm standing on that. It feels like a bit underdeveloped as an idea. Like that we're doing this 2 years in a row, the same, you know, overarching thread as an old lady following them around from time zone to time zone.
Yeah, and I guess it almost, in a way, just sort of thinking about it now, it's almost a shame that it's not with Millie Gibson, because obviously it was all such a big setup that, you know, almost like the enemy was at the door, the enemy was in, you know, inside the house almost. Yeah, the enemy was next door. So now that, you know, her character Ruby's not in it anymore, well, she's in it to a point, as we'll come to in a moment. It feels like it's a shame that that thread didn't get to carry on. And I'm sure that they've worked around it, obviously, but obviously best laid plans and all that. So Mrs. Flood.
But the Rani, yeah?
Yeah, the Rani. The Rani having a cup of tea next to some alien lady. Some troopers. Oh, yeah, now this dude was announced, wasn't he, the other day? He was in something. I don't know. I don't watch television.
Some man, bloke, dude fella. Yeah,
that's him. Right, so he's there with a gun. Oh, right, something scary. Scary face. Does it not look like a face? Scary face. A gaping maw, as you said earlier.
Could that not be from the
Spider Baby?
African themed episode, Spider Baby.
The Spider Baby. It's got the face of a spider, body of a spider, and the face of a baby.
Face of a baby. Could that not be the mask that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, it could be. Here we go. Cuphead. So we've got Alan Cummings' character. Now this is what really baffled me, is that in the press release for this, they never said, "Oh, Alan Cumming is returning to Doctor Who." It was like, Alan Cummings going to be in Doctor Who, and they like treated it like he'd never been in it before.
It took Russell, I think, quoting the story that he'd been in. I don't know if even his quote made it into that press release to say, by the way, he played King James?
Yes.
In the Witchfinders. Also funny that, because he's very active on social media, Alan Cumming, that on his Instagram he just shared like a screenshot of him in it and then got on with the rest of his business. Like, didn't spend any time saying, "Oh, I'm so excited to be doing Doctor Who." But I suppose it was a while ago for him.
He probably thought, "Well, it's not as good as the air zone solution." So
true. So what's the point in investing in that? So come on now. This has a chance to be an all-timer Doctor Who baddie.
Yeah, this looks great.
I mean, particularly if we're playing with like the rules of the universe and the laws of physics and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
This guy is obviously going to be all about that. He's going to be about cartoon violence and dropping anvils on people and summoning, holes that people can fall through in the floor. And all
it's going to be like Judge Doom, isn't it? From Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I've never seen that.
What the? You've never seen that film? My God, Annie had never seen it either until we sat down and watched it. So
I know.
There you are. That's so much for you to watch. It's on Disney Plus.
I will give it a watch because
I know you've got a Disney Plus subscription because you needed to watch Doctor Who. So
I know. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that because they've changed the times as well, haven't they? So we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. I think this looks great. I'm very excited for this. This is the sort of stuff that I wanted to see from last year when they were sort of saying like we're going to do weird things in terms of like the whatever Jinx Monsoon's character was called, not the Music Meister, that's the one from Batman Brave and the Bold. Maestro, that's it. Maestro. Yeah, when they were doing stuff like that, I thought, this is the opportunity to do these weird things with these like strange gods, like they did with the Celestial Toymaker, and they did it so well with the Toymaker.
Also, like they've got the budget to animate a character for a 45-minute episode, which would have been something they could only dream of prior to Disney. So not only, like you say, is it like, hey, we're doing weird and wonderful and wacky things, and that's a classic example of what we wanted to see, but also that they can pull it off to begin with is indicative of the financial situation they've found themselves in with Disney. And also, I don't know, do you reckon they could have drawn upon expertise from animators at Disney to maybe try and get this, nailed on? Because it has got that kind of classic, do they call it Jughead? Is that the style of animation from that era?
Maybe. I don't know. But I know what you mean. Maybe they thawed out Walt Disney and asked him,
maybe
give us a hand.
Yeah, and then he started saying some terribly racist things and they just put him back.
Put him back to sleep,
yeah. But yeah, very exciting. It looks great. And then we've got the shot of him crawling out of the cinema, which is, I can imagine it being a bit like, because the setup is that he sees there's a world beyond the cinema screen. So somehow the film becomes sentient or whatever, or, but I can imagine it being like he doesn't know how threatening and frightening he is. Like to come crawling out of the cinema screen. It's like that old story of the film of the train coming towards the camera and everybody in the theatre jumped out of the way of it back in the day. I can imagine it being that he can't function in a realm with like where physical rules and physics apply. Yeah. And he's just trying to go along around his business like he normally would, but ends up fucking things up and I can see that being the thread.
Certainly going to be like some sort of a fourth wall break for sure, because he'll be thinking, hang on a minute, I'm in a screen within a screen.
Yes,
potentially.
And there is the possibility that will tie into the Mrs. Flood, fourth wall breaking and all that as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, there's lots of rumors about who's Mrs. Flood, and people obviously always jumping to it's the Rani, it's Susan, it's Paul McGann. But one of the ones that I've seen, which I think has probably the most merit to it, is she some sort of like god of stories? Is she writing the story, the Doctor's story? Has she pulled the image of Belinda from the Doctor's history with the ambulances or whatever the fucking hell it was called? Boom. Yeah, who knows? So then, carrying on, we've got the Doctor looking at these missing posters. Again, I think this is from that spider episode again with the sort of and again some more stuff from this episode as well. This really cool shot of what's that, like a hairdresser's, isn't it? It's a hairdresser's.
Yeah, it's a barber's, I think.
There's a barber's there. Maybe that's where the Doctor's gone to get his hair cut. And he had more than he bargained for. And then we have these creepy creatures climbing over the walls. Now, this stuff leaked, didn't it? The creatures climbing over the wall. There were location footage of these things.
Okay.
So this is, I think, is it a 2-parter or maybe a 1-episode story? But there's no Doctor, no Belinda, and I think it's just Unit and Millie Gibson.
Yes, I thought it was, from what I saw, I think there's only 1 2-parter. I think it's the finale.
Oh, is it?
But I
okay.
think that there's an episode, there might be an episode bridging it, but there's an episode in the middle of the run that ties into the finale. So
Right.
maybe Millie and Unit get involved in something that then has a knock-on effect that the Doctor and Belinda wander into in the finale, and this has something to do with it. But
well, that'd be good. I like that.
I am loving the look of these baddies, and it's putting me, especially when we see the shot of the guy that Millie's having a conversation with in a minute in the bar, and we see the hand coming over her shoulder and her having an awareness of what's going on.
Yeah,
definitely feels like it's going for that more 73-yard cerebral horror, folk horror kind of thing, which is I'm all for. And
of course,
that was my favorite story of last year. So I'm well up for shambling creatures wobbling out of the mist and menacing the world.
Yeah, definitely. And then, back to the sci-fi city of the 50s, which looks really cool. Lovely stuff. Again, more stuff from episode 1 by the looks of things. People getting zapped to disintegration.
Yeah.
Back to whatever year it is, 30s, 20s, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, now this shot of the TARDIS and then the Doctor being flung through space, that is from the Eurovision Song Contest episode, judging by his costume. Okay. And I think these balls that we can see...
Those are the seats, aren't they?
Yeah, those were like little booths. And I think they look like they shut down, they closed down, those like sort of scalloped things.
Because otherwise, I would immediately have gone for the fan-brained reading of that and gone, Sontarans are back. Because they look like Sontaran shuttles. Oh, Macro with the $20, £20. Thank you very much.
$20? God, yeah, what are you doing?
I've been living here too long, mate.
Yeah.
Trailer looks pretty good, very cautiously optimistic, but we'll see. Also loving the first stream of the year. Will you guys be doing streams like you did last year for season 2?
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully. I think, have we had some other, we've had some other ones, some other super chats. One from Josh saying, I wondered what your thoughts were on the fairly positive comment that came out from Disney the other day. Yeah, they did, didn't they?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to, he's on it. And Dalek Seth, Chris says, Billy not seen Roger Rabbit. What?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Another one from Dalek Seth, £5. Those monsters that leaked are identical in design to the vampires from the animated Blood, the Last Vampire. I can't fucking speak. It's too early.
It's too early in the morning for you.
1.5 coffees as well. I'm absolutely buzzing. Excuse me, everybody. So yeah, we've got the Eurovision. People seem to be, maybe the gravity switched off. And people are being dragged up into space.
Sucked out into space. Oh yeah, that's more of the Eurovision Song Contest episode. Robot being blown up. Is this? I think this floating thing in space. That's the Eurovision Song Contest stage.
Oh yeah, this. Yeah.
So it's like,
that looks like the gravity field failing or something.
Yeah, and it looks like the roof has shattered or something. Yeah, and they're all being sucked out. Then we spin on to something from the finale because the Doctor's wearing his suit. This is a very interesting looking corridor. I mean, initially, looking at the dude in the background, he gives me some sort of like insectoid vibes, coupled with these tunnels, which look almost sort of honeycomb-ish.
Or like an ant hive colony kind of thing.
Zarbi return confirmed.
Hopefully.
So then the Doctor goes through some force fieldy thing. Then we've got another shot from, I guess, episode 1, because she's got a coat on. Then the 50s, 40s episode, whatever it is. Song contest, and then the big spider. Spider baby. There he is.
The big fucking spider.
This looks cool. This looks really cool. So, it's got, like, hinges on the legs. It's got cobwebs. This looks great. This looks really, really cool. My initial thought when I first saw it was Rachnos, but of course not. It's something else. And it looks like, judging by this little bit on top of his back, could that be the barber shop that the Doctor was in?
Yes, I think so, because the previous shot of the barbershop through the window, I think we see the webs in the
Yeah.
background. Yeah, so maybe there's something going on there.
Interesting. Don't you just hate it when you go to get your hair cut and then it turns out you're sitting on top of a giant spider? Then we got the Doctor in his spacesuit, nice TARDIS shot. Shot of Belinda. Oh, and that's it. We're at the end. We're at the end of the trailer.
That's it.
So
Very
I
good.
think it looks good. I'm cautiously optimistic, but as ever, you always got to remember these trailers. Anyone can cut a trailer together and make it look amazing. Doesn't mean that necessarily that it's going to be the case in the actual product, but hopefully,
we live in
fingers
hope.
crossed. We do. I think, and then that's why I was kind of keen. I think probably why Annie was kind of keen that we did this. We did this because we've been miserable.
We've been fucking miserable.
Yeah.
We are capable of viewing
Joy.
things in a positive light. Yeah, occasionally joy does infect us. Let's have a quick chat about some general news stuff. Obviously, it's all tied in with the new series as well. So, along with the rerun of the first trailer, we talked about it. It was during the Six Nations coverage. We got the date of the 12th of April.
Yeah.
Confirmation that new episodes will hit iPlayer at 8 a.m. every Saturday morning, ahead of their evening broadcast on BBC One. That's obviously a shift from the previous setup, where they were dropping at midnight. I'm sure everybody's happier with this. I mean, I have seen a lot of people say it's still not ideal, so you can't fucking win with Doctor Who fans, obviously.
No, I mean, the thing is, I wasn't staying up to watch it at midnight anyway, because that's insanity. But yeah, I was literally getting up in the morning and being like, right, let's watch Doctor Who. So, hey, works for me. The UK Gold schedule, as I like to call it.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
New episodes will then, as a result, drop on Disney Plus in the US, 12 a.m. Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, or, in my case, 9 p.m. Saturday evening in New Zealand.
That's quite good. That's quite good for you,
well,
isn't it?
It is,
no,
but
if you're working nights.
I actually had that's not too bad. I can take my laptop in and watch it. Fuck it, whatever.
You're going to cause an international incident where you accidentally broadcast Doctor Who on a different channel.
Somebody's not able to watch. Fuck it. I can't. I shouldn't speak bad about it, but no one at work's going to watch this. New Zealand National Bowls Championship that I've been covering at Sky. Oh my god, ridiculous.
Some old man will ring up and be like, "What's going on?"
Oh yeah, probably. So yeah, I'm probably, to be honest, I would have been happier if it had stuck to the old timing for us, because like you were getting up early in the morning and watching Doctor Who, like you would get to watch it actually on debut. It wouldn't have been out for like 7 or 8 hours.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And so I was watching it and I was able to sort of sit there and refresh the page waiting for it to pop up in the morning, which was quite nice. With the 9 p.m. one, it's still great to be able to watch Doctor Who at a time that isn't 3 o'clock in the morning, like like everybody on the eastern side of the US.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I preferred the morning screening for Doctor Who, but at least it will be dark, so hopefully that helps the old creepies.
Gives it a bit more atmosphere.
Settle in. And the synopsis for the series is: the Doctor meets Belinda Chandra and begins an epic quest to get her back to Earth, but a mysterious force is stopping their return, and the time-traveling TARDIS team must face great dangers, bigger enemies, and wider terrors than before. So I wonder if that's got something to do with the fact that she has had a previous life in the show.
Maybe.
Like there's some force that's stopping her from being this new character in the Doctor story, if we're going to go for the whole storyteller vibe.
I feel sorry for Michael Sheard. He should have had a Doctor Who story where he made reference to the fact that he's been about 12 different people across the Doctor's travels.
Love it. Alan Cumming, of course, we talked about it before. He will voice Mr. Ring-a-Ding.
Oh yeah.
RTD says of his character, a happy, fun, sing-along cartoon who lives in sunny town with his friend Sunshine Sally. However, in 1952, after years of repeats in cinemas across the land, Mr. Ring-a-Ding suddenly looks beyond the screen and sees the real world outside, and the consequences are terrifying. And yes, this was mentioned in a super chat earlier, or talking of super chats, this one from Jadooning95. I wouldn't blame Shooty if he decided to leave if Disney are taking their time to renew a third season. He's only human and would be ashamed to see him go. Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna wait around for a response.
Of course, no.
He's got plenty of offers on the table, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So Disney Plus released some interesting data.
Yeah.
Regarding Doctor Who. They said Doctor Who remains one of the most watched programs on BBC iPlayer and was a top 5 series on Disney Plus globally every week it aired, as well as being the BBC's top drama for under 35s, making it one of the biggest programs for the demographic across all streamers and broadcasters. Which is something that Russell T Davies had said before, that demographic they performed well in.
Yeah.
But it's quite a broad band.
Yeah.
Under 35s. So if we were to take it down to like how they actually break it up, which would be like 18 to 35, which is the demo in the States that they really focus on. Then maybe, if it's weighted towards the 18 to 35 demographic, because most Doctor Who fans who started watching with the new series are within that pocket.
Yeah.
But
I'm slowly creeping out of it, Billy.
Yeah, I know, slowly creeping out of the interesting pocket. What about 18 below? Because really, that's who the show is for.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'd be interested to know more of a breakdown of that demographic, because I think that to say that it's a top drama for under 35s is far too broad. Because also, technically speaking, you're including things like, what's that? Severance, is it? Slow Horses, all the Andor. There are a lot of programs that are aimed for 35, circa 35 and under year olds.
Yeah.
So
what about the New Zealand Bowls coverage? Is that
No, I think on average that's 75 to 99, I believe, is the demographic that targets. It is funny.
And beyond beyond the grave.
Beyond the grave, they're beaming it to Necros. I'm sure that it reads well for Doctor Who. Yeah. That quote.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit too broad for us to take it as like right, see, there you go. Because like I said, to be a top drama for under 35s is like, that's anything that's on TV at the moment. And I don't believe for a second that Doctor Who is in the top 5 of dramas globally.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It feels like a purposefully vague metric they've presented there.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's all about spin. So, not wanting to sound negative about it, but I think, we just...
No, but we still have to have the balance, Matt. We are still grumpy arseholes at the end.
We are, we're not called Review of Death for nothing. So, well, we'll see. We'll see what... I guess that's it, isn't it? If it was that good, they'd be saying season 3, give it to us right now. But obviously that has not yet materialized, so we shall have to see. Anything else? Any other tidbits of news, or was that it?
No, I think that's it. Apart from the fact that the collection season 7 is out.
Yes, mine turned up yesterday, which was a nice surprise.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, don't worry, I've not looked at it yet. So I've said on Instagram, I was like, oh, my weekend sorted. I haven't even stuck it in the PlayStation.
Of course not.
Just not at the time. I've been out and about.
No, it's a busy time, mate. We've got Doctor Who trailers to live stream about, and we've got all sorts of other shit going on. I think that's it in terms of news. I don't think anything else has come out, and it's great that we got on this now, because next week we're talking about Kinder, and it would have been, like a week and a half gap. Not talking about this, so. Good on you, Annie, for telling us to strike while the iron is hot. That was the right thing to do.
Cheers, love. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. This was fun. Fun having a little chat about new Doctor Who. Rather than being miserable about it, we were cautiously optimistic. So that's always
Cautiously.
good. Always good. So yeah, there we go. We shall see you not next Thursday, but the Thursday after for our review of Kinder, one of my favourite Doctor Who stories. And again, it's sort of tied into the Pantheon thing, sort of retroactively.
Yes, retroactively.
Yeah, the Mara, god of beasts. Not really. Beasts? What? No, dreams, surely. But
yeah,
hey.
Considering the fact that the whole, we'll get into it, but the whole Buddhist thing, there are no monsters, just the conditions inside of ourselves that create a circumstance where you become an arsehole. That is not. I'm fairly sure that the yogis did not write that into the sacred text. I'm fairly sure Buddha was like not sat under that tree going, "Don't be an arsehole."
Yeah.
But yeah, that like weird that it's actually taking the metaphysical side of the Mara, of like being the like big snake monster rather than actually what's going on in Tegan's head, but we'll get to it.
We'll get to that. Yeah, so we will see you all then. Thank you for everyone who joined us this evening, and thank you for people who dropped super chats in the comments. And yeah, we will see you all next time for Peter Davison and Kinder. Bye-bye. Oh, that means
Bye-bye.
that means I got to turn this off, isn't it? Oh shit. Hang on. I don't know what I'm doing. Stop streaming. Does this work?
I love the Rick Mail face you default to when you're trying to do something technical.
Your stream will stop and you will no longer be live. I'll no longer be